sun is out, the flowers are in bloom. A young man's fancy turns to love, but your fancy turns to the 10-8 round podcast. And so here we are. I'm Zach from Filthy Philadelphia, joined by John Boy in sunny Fort Lauderdale, Florida. John Boy, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. I don't know how to tell you how much I look forward to those intros that you do because we don't get to discuss them pre-show. So this is the first time for me and our viewers. And I got to tell you, Zach, I look forward to that every damn week.
Let me tell you this. I know what I'm going to say on those intros as soon as everybody else does.
That's amazing, man. That just shows kind of that you were born to do this, really.
You know, sometimes you just gotta, you gotta go from the heart and you gotta shoot from the hip, and that's what we do here on the 10-8.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna bring that. And listen, am I gonna let allergy season slow me down? Am I gonna let the fact that I'm getting absolutely 10-8'd by pollen right now slow me down? No, I'm not. Absolutely not. Couldn't be me. No.
Very impressive. Very, very impressed.
Well, look, it's another week in the calendar year of our Lord 2022. We're between Saturdays. We got fights to talk about that already happened. We got fights to talk about that are going to happen. So I got to show up and I got to bring it. The UFC puts out 78 cards a year, and we got to talk about every single one. So here we are.
It's the least we could do, right?
It's the least we could do. Are you excited for the coming card on Saturday?
I think excitement might be a bit of an aggressive term. I'm probably going to watch it. If I'm not doing anything, I'm probably going to watch it. I do have 2 bets circled. So, the true degenerate in me is always looking forward to a gambling Saturday.
Well, I have to imagine you're looking for a little redemption on DraftKings after last Saturday, and I know we're not there yet, but I don't know, couple of sure picks. They took a little bit of a winding road on you.
Absolutely, and you can't win them all because it really wouldn't be fun if you won every time, right?
It's like my old man used to tell me when we go out fishing and I'd get pissed off I didn't get a fish. He'd say, "Son, if everybody got one, they wouldn't call it fishing; they'd call it catching."
Facts, man. I couldn't agree more. Wise man.
That's why we got big dog bets and we got small pup bets. If you want to be a big dog, you got to have skin in the game. That's the way it is.
Bingo.
Well, I don't know. What do you want to do? You want to start from the top here? You want to start from what is arguably a lackluster main event and kind of work our way down the main card here?
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, the main event is very lackluster. It's a 5-rounder with Caitlin Vieira, who at one point in time was a title challenger.
Yeah.
And then you have Holm, the preacher's daughter, a fan favorite. One of the biggest upsets in UFC history. The people love her. She is somewhat of a draw. Who do you think's the favorite in this matchup?
Well, before we get there, you call her a fan favorite. Holm is responsible for probably the worst moment of my life, which was, of course, watching my queen Ronda Rousey get knocked out. I still have not fully recovered. I can tell you where I was when that happened. It has to be 5 years ago, 6 years ago now that it happened. I was sitting in an apartment on 41st in Baltimore, in the city and county of Philadelphia, and I've been depressed ever since. And then ever since that happened, I started to notice that maybe Ronda Rousey was not the fighter I should have been standing. I kind of looked back on her career with less rose tinted glasses. That's a conversation for another day. That being said, I do have to imagine that the preacher's daughter is the favorite.
She is. I think she's the rightful favorite here. Minus 250. I think she's definitely seen the tougher schedule between the two of them. At one point in time, like I said, though, Caitlin Vieira was, posed for a potential title bout. Then she was KO'd unconscious in the first round by Irene Aldana. And
who Holm just beat.
Who Holm just beat, correct. She then went on to beat Ciara Eubanks, who's like a decent win. And then she ended up losing to Yana Kunitskaya, who's, in the top 10, but I wouldn't say inside the top 5. But then she comes off probably her biggest win of her career against Miesha Tate, who I believe was the favorite in the fight. Miesha Tate making a comeback, a return to the UFC. She has a newfound motivation. Tried to make a run for the title and was stopped in her tracks by Caitlin Vieira. So the UFC, rightfully so, matched up Holly Holm and Caitlin Vieira. I'm going with Holm here. I'm going to get right to the point. I'm on the preacher's daughter. I think she's the more technical fighter. I think she's just got to stay off the ground. But she's been pretty good with that. She's been pretty decent. Her takedown defense is very, very solid. The strength of schedule really isn't comparable. And over the course of 5 rounds, I think she's going to find her spots and going to get the job done.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you. You know, if you look at Holly Holm's schedule, she only loses to legit girls, right? She's not losing fights that she should win. And the ones that she's losing, you know, she's lost some tough ones. She's 14-5, but she's lost them only to legit girls. And of course, you know, 6 years ago, she had a rightful claim to the baddest woman on the planet title, having dethroned Ronda Rousey. Holly Holm would then in the next fight go on to lose that title to Miesha Cupcake Tate via very late rear naked choke submission. You know, and you see that, and then you think, well, Caitlin Vieira beat Miesha Tate. Yeah, but there's like 6 years in between those two fights. I don't think either of them would say that they fought the same Miesha Tate, right? Holly Holm fought a Miesha Tate that was very much still in her prime, still hungry for a title. And was, I think, piecing Miesha up on the feet before, you know, Miesha was able to sink in a choke that was really, if nothing else, was hard fought. You know, Caitlin Vieira lost a decision to Miesha Tate that was, I don't think there was any controversy in the decision, but it was a close fight. So I think Holly Holm's a clear choice here.
Yeah, I mean, I'll touch on real quick to kind of put on the finishing touches with it. Her last 2 losses are Cyborg and Amanda Nunes. Okay, so you're talking about arguably 2 of the greatest women to ever step in the octagon. And her last 2 wins are quality wins. Irene Aldana is a very, very good fighter. And Raquel Pennington is another girl who's kind of always just been in that top 5. I don't want to say a gatekeeper, but Raquel Pennington's the fighter that you fight to tell if you're legit or not. That's how the UFC kind of figures out if you're ready for the big moment.
Which would kind of make her a gatekeeper.
It's true, but she has challenged for the title a couple times. But no, you're right. She'd probably a more fitting title for her would be a gatekeeper. And then Holm's last win was the 5-rounder against Aldana. Holly Holm is 40 years old.
You know, I was going to say that. It jumped off the page at me, and I guess there's no reason for me to doubt it. Holly Holm's 40.
Yeah, and Caitlin Vieira is 30, so you're talking a 10-year difference here. But I mean, you can just tell in Holly Holm's physique. You know, she's not one of those fighters that blows up when she's not in a fight camp. She's one of the fighters that she's no Patty. She's one of the fighters that is in just like tremendous shape year round. She takes care of herself. She's 40, but the way that she, you know, takes care of her body, diets, exercises, etc. She's probably 30, like most people would, just the way she takes care of herself. We haven't seen her in a while though. Her last fight was 2020 of October 3rd.
Yeah.
So it's been a hot minute. I don't want to say I'm looking forward to it, but it'll be interesting to see how she looks over the course of a 2-year layoff. But like I said, Holly Holm -250.
Yeah.
That's the play.
Yeah, I think I don't know that I'd call it a lock, but it's pretty close to one. So we got Santiago Ponzinibbio, 35 years old with a 29-5 record, stepping in at 170 against Michael Pereira, 27-11. How do you feel about this one? Should I pick a favorite?
Yeah, let's start it off with that.
Michael Pereira, he's the one that does all that weird shit in the cage, right? He's kind of an unorthodox fighter.
Yeah, he does the backflips, he does the dancing, you know, pre-entrance into the ring. It's pretty closely lined. Pereira is a slight favorite at -130. Santiago Ponzinibbio, the pride and joy of Argentina. I think he is the best Argentinian fighter ever in UFC history.
He's not the only.
He's not the only. I didn't say only, just the best.
Is he not the only?
Oh, are you saying he's not the only? Is Guido? I thought Guido Canetti may have been Argentinian. I'm not 100% correct on that. We'll just leave it with Santiago's the best because that is a fact. But
yeah,
um,
to our fans in Argentina, we take your product, your fighters very seriously. This is in no way reflection on how we feel about our fans down there in Argentina listening this week.
Yeah, no, absolutely no slight to our entire Argentinian fan base. But with that being said, I'm going with the first dog play of the night. I'm backing my guy Santiago Ponzinibbio. I think he's the cleaner, more technical guy. It's less wasted movement with him. His fights are more crisp over the course of the 3 rounds. I think you're going to see that. Pereira does possess a lot of power, but they're very telling shots. He loads up. He throws everything with every shot over the course of the round. I think Ponzinibbio will start to take over the later rounds. It might be one of those fights where you wait for the first round to go by. Pereira will have a decent first round and then look to capitalize with Santiago Ponzinibbio in the later rounds.
Yeah, this is I don't know. This is a tough one, and you're right. The dogs might be barking on this one. I mean, Santiago Ponzinibbio's most recent fights, he's got a loss to Jeff Neal, a win over Miguel Baeza, a loss to Jingliang Li, a win over Neil Magny, win over Mike Perry, who is of course now in bare knuckle fighting, win over Gunny Nelson. And you look at Pereira, he's got a win over Andre Fialho, a win over Nico Price, who was once kind of touted as being somebody. It's kind of fizzled a little bit. Mm-hmm. A win over Kalin Williams, a win over Zalim Imadaev, and then a loss to Diego Sanchez. 2 things jumped out at me. One, Ponzinibbio has a win over Sean Strickland all the way back in 2015.
Yes.
And that is noted psychopath Sean Strickland, who will be fighting on the main card, I think, of International Fight Week. And Michael Pereira has 6 fights in less than 2 years. That guy stays busy.
Yeah, he's been very, very active. He definitely gets his fights in. I think this is definitely going to be his toughest matchup. I think this is going to be definitely the toughest person that he's fought in probably his entire career. And I can't say the same for Santiago Ponzinibbio. Ponzinibbio is coming off of a split decision against Geoff Neal, who is, a very good fighter. Geoff Neal's good. No.
Hang on. Are you trolling me? Or am I trolling you?
You don't think Geoff Neal is a good fighter?
It's Jeff Neal.
Jeff. Look how it's spelled. Can we?
It's Jeff.
No, Jeff is Jeff. Jeff is how you spell Jeff. If you want to confuse it, Geoff is Geoff.
All right, fair enough. Geoff Neal it is. Fair enough.
We're going with Geoff.
The 10-8 pod has made a decision. Jeff Neal, I apologize. You are now Geoff Neal.
Hands of steel, Geoff Neal.
We're going to call up Bruce Buffer. We're going to let him know to make that last minute correction. That is Geoff Neal. And you're absolutely right. He is a legit guy. That's a capital L legit guy.
Okay, that makes me feel better that you were laughing at the pronunciation and not the skill set.
No, that's a legitimately good fight.
Yeah, it very much so is. Like a guy who's fought Stephen Thompson, a guy who's cracked into like the top welterweights in the world. Ponzinibbio is 35 years old. He is getting a little bit older. How old's Pereira? Pereira's probably up there too.
He's not young.
If the birth certificate checks out, he's 28. For some reason, I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all.
You heard it here first. The 10-8 podcast is now asking Michael Pereira to see the birth certificate. We're going to need to see proof.
Yeah, no, something was lost in translation. They're doing some weird shit over there. That I don't know if that adds up. You can Google Michael Pereira for me, his headshot, and let me know if he looks like he's 28.
Let's see here. Let's go to the
we should flash it on screen for our viewers here. My man does not look like he's 28 years old.
Let's see.
I apologize if you guys hear snoring in the background. That would be my relatively overweight French bulldog, Franklin.
Jesus. Yeah, 1993. That man looks like he's 42.
Thank you.
Yeah, that guy looks like he's 42 years old.
Yeah, you guys got to Google this because he does not look 28 years of age. He's an exciting fighter, but like I said, it's a lot of wasted movement. You know, it's a lot of jumping kicks, jumping off the cage, and his gas tank has been known to, you know, anticipate in those later rounds. He really doesn't hold, you know, that energy for 15 minutes. So I like Ponzinibbio here at even money. I'm going to bet that all day. That's actually my first starred bet of the night. Starred bet. Yeah, I'm not playing games when I star something. I'm going with Ponzinibbio, baby.
I like
the Argentine dagger.
It's a tough name.
That's a sweet.
And our fans in Argentina will tell you as much. Well, next up, we have noted Bellator alum, Chitty Bang Bang, Chitty Un Jokani, 21-7, stepping up against Dusko Tudorovic at 11-2.
Yeah. Got a favorite here?
You know what? I got to tell you, I think the favorite's Chitty Bang Bang.
It is Chitty.
Yeah. He's only been in the UFC for 2 fights. He beat Mario D'Souza on Dana White's looking for a contender series or looking for a fight series, whatever the fuck they call it now. I don't know. They keep changing the name. He beat him on that. And then he beat Marc-Andre Barrial,
which is a very legit win.
Yeah, that is
he knocked him out.
He's got 13 knockouts in his career. Yeah. Chitty Bang Bang is 1, clever, and 2 is you can believe the hype on that one. This man's got some hands on him.
I believe he has a brother as well.
Does he?
I think he might. Who also may have fought in the UFC.
Yeah, you do the MMA math against Dusko Tudorovic, who has a win over Michael Pereira.
His brother Anthony also is a fighter, not who also fought in the UFC. But you're going back to about 2011. So I knew I recognized the last name. Whatchamacallit, Chitty Bang Bang is the younger brother of Anthony, the assassin. So it runs in the blood. They are a fight family.
It's a family affair over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you look at Tudorovic, a win over Miki Pitolo, a loss to Gregory Rodriguez, a loss to Mr. Soriano Punalahe. Is that how you say that? Punalahe?
Yeah. I mean, don't ask me because I'm not the guy to ask with the pronunciations. Clearly.
Geoff and Punalane.
Yeah.
Win over Punalane to Soriano.
That's a loss. It's a loss. Yeah, that's a legit guy though. That's a
legit guy. And then a win over Daquan Townsend and a win over Teddy Ash in the Dana White Contender Series. And 7 knockouts.
I also have a little nugget for you here. Dusko Tudorovic is the only person to have ever knocked out Michael Pereira.
Oh, there you go.
It was in the co-main event that we just discussed, who's fighting Santiago Ponzinibbio. Tudorovic has a knockout over Michael Pereira, only time in his career that he's been stopped, Pereira. But with that being said, the one thing that I've seen with Dusko Tudorovic that makes me very, very nervous is he stands very upright and he leaves his chin out there. He's very technical, very good striker, a legit guy. But the one thing that people have been able to exploit is he kind of just leaves his chin in the air. And that is not something you can do with Chitty Bang Bang.
No.
That's kind of, his bread and butter. So to do that with him, there's going to be problems. You're not going to be able to take a clean one from him. So with that being said, I understand why he's the -240 favorite. I don't know if I'm going to get there. I'd probably look at the KO prop if I wanted to invest in Chitty. But Tudorovic could be a live dog. He's just got to avoid that like first, 6-7 minutes where Bang Bang does his best work. That's a tough one. That's a good fight. That's a good fight.
That is.
It's a low key banger.
That is a good fight. I think the song says it best when it says, what's it saying? It's saying chitty, 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 bang, bang. I'm feeling pretty strongly that Chitty Bang Bang is going to win this one. I think if you look at it, you got a guy with 13 KOs on one hand. You got a guy with 7 KOs on the other hand. These are two boys who are coming to the cage, and they're looking to throw leather. They're not looking to grapple. They're not looking to wrestle. They're looking to throw some hands. And I think in that battle, I think Chitty Bang Bang wins that one.
Yeah, I wouldn't feel safe at any moment in the fight with Tudorovic just because of the power that Bang Bang possesses and the fact that, Dusko's been knocked out. I mean, his last fight, I'm pretty sure he was knocked out in his last fight. He leaves his chin on a swivel, man. And that's all that needs to be said. I like Chitty too here, but at minus 240, am I going to get there? That's another decision. I'm going to have to wait. I'll wait for weigh-ins, and if I do touch it, I will.
So you're saying
tweet it out. You're
saying watch the Twitter.
Yeah, I'll say watch the Twitter on that. Watch for a potential KO prop bet. If the odds make sense, I could dabble with that.
Yeah. Well, look, I'll say this: the nickname Bang Bang has a special spot in the 10-8 Pod's heart. Shout out to local MMA fighter Sandy Bang Bang Chang, friend of the 10-8 podcast. Fighter, I think, for Art of War, cage fighting. Also home of current friend of the pod Timmy Green. So, for a multitude of reasons, I'm pulling for Chitty here, and it's a good thing because I had to dig deep to figure out what was going on with Tabitha Ricci and Polyana Viana, which would make sense because Tabitha Ricci has 2 fights in the UFC, one against Manon Fiore,
beast,
one against Maria Oliveira.
Manon Fiore, she's big,
tough.
She's big time. She
is big time.
You're gonna hear her name a lot more.
Which is why it makes sense that she dispatched Tabitha Ricci. You look at Polyana Viana, 12-4, a win over Mallory Martin, a win over Emily Whitmire, and then 3 losses in a row to Veronica Macedo, Heather Cyphers, JJ Aldrich, and then a win over Maria Stevenson. I know I'm supposed to pick a favorite here. I'm just going to close my eyes and point. Polyana Viana.
Okay, so she is not the favorite. Tabitha Ricci is the favorite, but Zach, let's not discount this fight. This is my second starred matchup.
Oh boy. Tell me about it.
Let's not gloss over this one. Let's give it a little bit of a look.
Now, are you about to hone in on the fact that Polyana Viana has 8 submission wins?
That will be brought up. That is definitely really the only path to victory I see for her in this matchup. Tabitha Ricci is in the same training camp as Mackenzie Dern. So she's definitely used to defending submissions. I know for a fact that Mackenzie Dern is better on the ground than Polyana Viana is, but that's no knock on Polyana Viana, because, you could make the argument that Mackenzie Dern has the best BJJ in the UFC, if not the world. In terms of accolades, she's definitely up there. And Tabitha Ricci rolls with that girl every single day. So she's going to be ready for it. Polyana Viana is the girl who beat up that guy really badly that tried to mug her. Do you remember that story?
Was that in Brazil?
Yes.
And didn't she armbar him?
Yeah, she just beat the living shit out of the guy.
That's incredible.
That's Polyana Viana. So she has my respect just right off the rip from that.
That gets a tip of the hat from the 10-8.
100%.
Love that energy.
Yeah, no, facts. Imagine picking a fight with her and her just absolutely whooping your ass. 115-pound girl just absolutely beating the brakes off you. That's awesome. I love to see it, really.
Yeah, you really do love to say it.
See, like her submission wins are arm bars from bottom. It's when other girls get on top of her, she is sneaky and she sneaks that arm bar in there. I did my due diligence on this fight with Tabitha Ricci. I saw on her Twitter that people were commenting and they were saying, "Oh, your path to victory is have top control, just avoid being subbed." And she actually liked a couple of those tweets. So she is keen to kind of the only route of victory that Polyana Viana has. So at minus 135, Tabitha Ricci is my second play of the card.
Ooh,
Tabitha Ricci, second play of the card, minus 135. She opened at around minus 120. So the public is jumping on her right now. I think she's the rightful favorite. I think Polyana Viana is a little bit overrated as well. Emily Whitmire, Mallory Martin, they're no longer in the UFC, those two girls, and those are her last two wins.
I'll tell you right now.
A loss to Veronica Macedo, not good. Hannah Cyphers, she lost to Split, who I think that's Hannah Cyphers' only win in the UFC. JJ Aldrich is a decent loss, but she lost to her. It's a decent fighter, but it's a loss nonetheless. She did knock out Amanda Ribas earlier in her career, but Ribas does kind of have a glass chin. I like Tabitha Ricci. I think that she matches up well with Polyana Viana. So Tabitha Ricci, Baby Shark is her nickname, and we are going Baby Shark for star pick number 2.
Baby Shark, do.
Bingo.
Now we get down to Eric Anders versus Park Jun Young.
Mm-hmm.
Eric Anders, 35 years old, 14-6. Mr. Young, 13-5, with a loss to, let's run it down here. Eric Anders' most recent fight was a loss to Andre Muniz. Before that, he has a win over Darren Stewart, a no contest with Darren Stewart due to an illegal knee, a loss to Krizat Jotko, and a win over Gerald Mearshart. Park.
I thought he lost that fight too.
Yeah, that's fair.
I thought he lost the Mearshart fight. I don't know if it was a split or a UD, but I did think he lost that fight.
That's fair. Park Jun Young lost to Gregory Rodriguez, beat Taffer Nuchuki.
Tafon Nuchukwi. Maybe.
Yeah, Nuchukwi. Mm-hmm. One over John Phillips, one over Marc-Andre Barrial, and then a loss to Anthony Hernandez. Can I say coming out of the gate, and I know I'm supposed to pick a favorite here, I just don't fucking like Eric Anders.
Really?
I just don't like him. I don't know what it is about him. Something, I don't know. It's something deep. It's deep in there. I can't access the memory of what it was, but I know every time I see his face, I'm like, I don't fucking like this guy, but I don't remember why.
Very interesting.
I don't know what it is. And you know, it might be something stupid. It probably is. I assume it is, but I don't like him. So I'm thinking Park Jun Young is the favorite. Maybe I'm wrong.
You'd be correct.
Ah,
maybe you're not a fan of the Alabama Crimson Tide, perhaps.
I don't know. I don't mind the Roll Tide roll.
Former linebacker at the University of Alabama on one of their national football championship teams, Eric Anders. You know, he parlayed his success in football into the UFC. He's had a, you know, nothing crazy impressive, you know, career. He does fight everybody. He has some crazy fights. I mean, he fought Thiago Santos.
Yeah.
He fought some like serious guys. So, you know, his level of competition is he has seen it all. But I don't love his fight style. He's like a very plodding forward, slower guy, loads up the right hand. The Iron Turtle, Ju-Young Park, also he's got
a nickname.
Yeah, it's a sweet nickname. 1. 2, he has some decent wins. He's got a win over Marc-Andre Barrial. John Phillips is very unimpressive. The Tafon Nuchukwi it's decent. The Gregory Rodriguez loss isn't horrible. Oh, man, this is tough though. This is tough because Eric Anders has definitely seen the better guys. So this kind of might be a step up in competition for Park. You know what? After going over it right now, I actually kind of like Eric Anders here at plus 170.
You know why I think I don't like Eric Anders? Because I think he fought Khalil Roundtree.
He did.
And I'm a big Khalil Roundtree fan.
Khalil Roundtree fucked him up.
Yeah, he did. Khalil Roundtree went to Tiger Muay Thai in Thailand, just moved into the camp to learn just an absolute secret weapon of striking, and just leg kicked and two-pieced him on the feet and beat the brakes off of him.
Yeah, then Eric Anders was his first fight after that Thailand expedition. So we got to test out all of his new moves on Eric Anders.
Yeah, fucking Khalil Roundtree looked like a cheat code against Eric Anders.
Khalil Roundtree is one of those guys that can look unbelievable or just god awful. Like there's no in between with Roundtree. Yeah. He either, he comes to bang or he just looks terrible. But in the fight against Anders, he looked crazy good.
Yeah. It's like unlocking Sagat in Street Fighter. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting fight. I think that Anders is getting disrespected by the odds makers here. Plus 170. That looks juicy to me.
You're feeling it.
That looks juicy to me. I mean, you're going to give me 2-1 odds against the Iron Turtle. I think I might take that. Well, there Put a flyer on it. It's a half star.
Maybe after weigh-ins, maybe we feel differently. Maybe check Jay Sure pick 6, just kind of see what's cracking.
Yeah, we'll see how they stack up. See how, if there's a big size advantage. I think Park is going to look to grapple here.
Yeah.
That for sure. And Anders is going to look to, keep it standing and definitely trade some blows. But I might take a little dabble there. We'll see.
Anything else you want to go over on the UFC Fight Night Holm versus Vieira?
There isn't too much. The beloved Chase Hooper is fighting.
Love that kid, son of Ben Askren.
Yeah, he is he gives hope to all people that, don't think that they could be a fighter necessarily. Because he doesn't look like a fighter in any way, shape, or form. I don't know if he should be, to be completely honest with you. And that might be harsh. From a standing perspective, it's not good. It's actually very, very bad. He can grapple though. He's gonna Amari roll and he's gonna flip and he's gonna do whatever he can to take it to the ground. He's like a poor man's Ryan Hall with a lot of heart.
I would have maybe called him a poor man's Bryce Mitchell.
He doesn't really have like a wrestling degree. It's more of like he just like a Maranani roll or whatever the hell it is, rolls forward and tries to just pray that his opponent's fight IQ is extremely low.
Yeah.
And he might have that in a Felipe Colares, who, it's possible at plus 150. But when you're talking that low level of a fight, I'm not going to go near it. But other than that, not too much. Parker Porter, Jolton Almeida. A lot of people think Almeida might be another heavyweight contender. Parker Porter's putting together a little bit of a run. Jolton Almeida, the biggest favorite on the card at minus 622. That's one to keep your eye out on if you want some fresh blood in the heavyweight division.
Always good to keep blood flowing through that division. Heavyweights get a little quick.
Yeah. Other than that, there's a couple little ones that are decent. They're going to be some good fights. It's not a lot of name reputability, but these guys are going to throw down. It'll be a decent card.
Yeah, it'll be a decent card. Speaking of decent cards, some fights last Saturday. I remarked before the show, I thought last Saturday's card was better than the last UFC pay-per-view. And I know what you're thinking. You're only saying that because Andre Petrosky choked out Nick Maximov.
Yeah.
It's not the only reason I'm saying it. Did I get real hype about it? Sure. Was I alone in my living room yelling? Absolutely. Doesn't change the fact that it happened.
Yeah, no, a very impressive win for Petrosky. The biggest underdog on the card. Biggest underdog on the card, comes around with a first round submission. That's what he's known for, though, right? He's a big grappler. He loves to take it to the ground and kind of just manhandle you. Strong dude. You can tell by his physique. And, a lot of people had some big expectations from Nick Maximov, and Petrosky put that to rest for now, for the time being anyway. And great performance from Andre Petrosky.
It was a great performance. Michael Johnson, another great performance. I always love to see Michael Johnson win in fights. He cut a post-fight promo, kind of putting the UFC on notice. He's back. He's ready to start climbing up the ranks again. He's hungry. He's ready to start throwing them hands again. Will it materialize? Maybe. Why not? Michael Johnson's got some impressive wins in his UFC career, so maybe.
Without a doubt.
A little last chance dance for Michael Johnson. I wouldn't hate it.
He has some extremely impressive wins and some absolutely atrocious losses, though.
Yeah. Yeah, and he kind of touched on that in his post-fight interview, that inability to kind of put it all together. He seemed to be a new man. He looked real good. He looked better than Angela Hill.
Yeah, my girl Angela really let me down this week. She fought her heart out. The discrepancy in grappling was too big for her to overcome. Vieira Jandiroba got her down, but besides that, she just held her there for 3 rounds. She wasn't very active. I'm not complaining for a stand-up or something along those lines. It wasn't like an absolute mauling. It was just, I'm better than you at this, so I'm going to exploit it. She stuck to her game plan, and she took advantage of a glaring hole in Angela Hill's game. And that was basically it. I don't know, how much more Vieira Jandiroba we're going to see in terms of a legitimate contender, but nonetheless, it was a good win for her.
Well, Alan Nascimento got his first win in the UFC, so that's, good for Alan.
Yeah.
Beating up on Jake Hadley, former Dana White Contender Series winner.
Yeah. That was a good win for Nascimento. A lot of people were high on Hadley.
They were.
A lot of people said that he was a promising prospect coming from Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series. One guy that we should probably be talking about is Tatsuro Taira.
Yeah. I've been high on this young man for a while. He was coming out of the Japan circuit and just looking. I have a tendency to really put a lot of heart and soul into the Japanese fighters. I'm just a big fan of theirs. I like the traditional martial arts, the traditional judo and jiu-jitsu background guys. And he looked good. He was the I believe the second highly touted Japanese fighter on the weekend to pick up a big one. The other one being, I think her name is Kayla Watanabe. No, that's not it. I'm going to pull it up. But yes, Taira living up to the hype.
Yeah, no, very, very promising. 22 years old, out of Japan, 11-0, undefeated. Carlos Candelario was no easy out too. He fought. That guy definitely gave it his all. It was a very good fight. It was very back and forth, for earlier parts of the fight. But then Tatsura started to really put it together as soon as he found, got into rhythm and found kind of, what worked for him. Very impressive. Definitely a guy who I'm excited to see what's next for.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited to see what's next for him. For anybody wondering, the other Japanese fighter was Kana Watanabe, fought on Bellator. She was I want to say maybe a judo Olympian. I don't know if she was a medal. I think she was a medalist. I don't know if it was gold or not, but Kana Watanabe also picked up a big W. So, shout out to traditional martial artists holding it down inside the cage. Frank Camacho, that wasn't good.
Yeah.
Frank got starched by Manuel Torres. That was kind of a bummer.
Yeah, dude. Frank is snoring louder than Frank currently in my living room. You're talking about 2 pretty nasty KO losses back to back. He got subbed by Beneil Dariush. He has a win over Nick Hine, who retired immediately after the loss. Dirty Geoff Neal.
Dirty Geoff Neal.
He has a knockout loss to him. Yeah, man. Frank Camacho did not look good. He kind of reminded me of like a Dan Hooker, where just it didn't look right from the beginning, where they're
Yeah.
kind of like in slow motion or something, where the damage is starting to accumulate on their career. I don't know how much more we're going to see of the Crank.
He's now 2-6 in the UFC, so I can't imagine it's going to be much more unless he's got himself one of those smiling Sam Alvey deals where he'll just never be cut.
Yeah, 2-6, and then like Damian Brown on a split decision, and then Damian Brown left the organization after that fight, and then Nick Hine left the organization after that fight. He did have an entertaining scrap with Drew Dober. It was a decent fight. Justin James cut by the UFC. Yeah, man, it's not looking good for Frank. That's probably the last we'll see of him in the UFC.
I would think so. Well, the Amity Harbor hottie, hometown hero, Caitlin Chikagian, brought home a split decision victory over Amanda Ribas.
Yeah, and apparently it won fight of the night as well. I missed that one. I didn't get to watch that one. We briefly discussed it prior to coming on, and you said that there was an argument to be made for Ribas as well, though, right?
There was an absolute argument to be made for Ribas. You know, obviously Chikagian looked good on the feet. Obviously Ribas wanted to take her to the ground. She was successful in taking her to the ground a few times. Chikagian did look good on the feet, but you know, this is one of those ones where there's an argument for open scoring because, you know, I would have liked to have seen how that one was breaking down alive. But, you know, Chikagian gets another decision victory. She had a little fun on the internet. You know, somebody pointed out there are 3 guarantees in life: death, taxes, and a Caitlin Chikagian split decision victory. And she responded with a couple of laughing face emojis to that. Not much else to say about it, you know. Ryan Spann beat up on Ian Kutilaba in what was an exciting, I think, 2 minutes. 2 guys who looked like they were just being coming out of their cage, and they were doing just fine. These boys went in there and put on an exciting 2 minutes with Ryan Spann coming out the victor, I believe, with a guillotine choke.
Yeah, a guillotine choke that he implements a lot. He's known for that.
Yeah, it looked like Kutalaba might have had his number for a minute there, and then Spann, it looked like Kutalaba left that neck just a little bit too long, and Spann was not going to say no to that. Superman hopped on it. In the immortal words of the Wu-Tang Clan, protect your neck. Those words can never be too far from your mind when you are a fight fan, and I hope that Ian Kutalaba does listen to the 36 chambers before his next fight. Got to protect your neck.
Important, very, very important.
And then probably the most heartbreaking news for the 10-8 podcast: the John Boy bet, the over 2.5 rounds between Jan Blachowicz, and Mr. Rakic.
Yeah, I mean, that was one where it was a good read. I mean, it was a good read. It was going according to plan. And then Alexander Rakic blew out his ACL. He was unable to continue. Apparently, he had that injury in camp prior to fighting. You know, so these are some of the things that, you know, you're not going to be privy to before going in and betting a fight. You know, this is MMA, and there are guys that are dealing with injuries that you're not going to know about. And especially in a guy, Jan Blachowicz, who's known to throw a lot of low leg kicks. You know, this was not the guy to have a leg injury against. I didn't catch the entire thing. I did see some highlights of it. It looked like Rakic was getting the better of Jan early in some of the exchanges. It was a back and forth, you know, for the most part, but it was relatively a close fight. I know that Jan Blachowicz is getting like his eye drained. I saw on Twitter, like he did sustain some, you know, pretty serious damage. I don't know how much we can really take away from, you know, Rakic's knee blowing out in terms of implications for Jan. Did you see anything that, you know, says otherwise?
You know, I don't think I saw anything that says otherwise. I'll say this: it looked like it was a pretty evenly matched fight going in. Rakic did hit Jan early on under the eye and had his shit bleeding pretty good, but Jan was also looking pretty good on the feet. I don't know that there's anything for us to take going forward.
Yeah.
But the narrative now is sort of that, Rakic didn't lose the fight, his knee did. Jan didn't win the fight, Rakic lost it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? Rakic if you watch the replay, the leg goes when he steps back kind of funny. But that's after a round and a half of Jan just abusing in the front leg, right? He abuses the left leg, and then Rakic steps funny on the right one. I mean, you throw leg kicks because you want to make people step funny on the legs, right? You want to chop down the tree, and he chopped down the tree. So I'm not going to take that win away from him.
No.
I think it's legitimately his win. It looks like Glover was on Twitter, said that Jan's earned the rematch if Glover wins in June. I think might be a big if.
That's going to be a big if for Glover. I mean, there is a path to victory.
Sure.
There is a path to victory. That's another card that
in a time machine. 10 years ago.
Look, we won't delve too far, into our fight assessment of that. But for those of you who don't know, the light heavyweight belt is on the line. I believe it's June 11th, the first ever UFC event in Singapore.
Yeah.
And that is the main event, Yuri Przaka and Glover Teixeira. There's always a path to victory with Glover just because of the physical wrestling. But if the longer that stays on the feet, the Glover is going to have some very, very tough times on the feet. He's going to have to overcome a lot of adversity. Not that he can't do it. That's an under bet for me. That's a pure violence. Somebody's getting finished. I'm betting the under in that fight. That's all I'll say about that for now.
Yeah, let's not take away too much from what we got coming our way. Especially because, John, did I hear a rumor about the 10-8 podcast?
Yeah, speaking of what's coming our way,
I heard a rumor, pretty crazy rumor. I don't know if it's true or not. Can you confirm?
Yes, we're going to confirm that next week. We do have a special guest, Mike Wilcox, former Cage Fury fighting championship fighter. He fought for Bellator as well. And he also took part in the first UFC Fight Pass Invitational Pro Grappling event against Rafael Lovato Jr., who, if you know your BJJ, you're talking about one of the best guys in the world.
A legit guy. Let's put it a real legit guy.
Very legit guy. Mike is also a very legit guy.
Yeah.
One of the main training partners is Sean Brady, who is a current Philly fighter, 15-0, could be, some say, the best out of that camp. A lot of high expectations for Sean Brady, rightfully so. He looks very good. So you guys have that to look forward to next week. We'll have Mike coming on. We're going to be doing a Tuesday night show. So yeah, man, that'll be awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, for you filthy Philadelphians that are loyal listeners who haven't heard of Mike Wilcox, Mike is a Philly legend in his own right. Been around the MMA scene a long time. I think he's actually a New Jersey native, but through his Philly connections and all that, he's really good friends, I think, with the entire Daniel Gracie camp, which is, if you watch the fights on Saturday, you know that Andre Petroski did not break the streak. That whole camp is now 14-0 in the UFC, and that's Sean Brady, that's Pat Sabatini, that's Andre Petroski, and that is, I want to make sure I get this gentleman's name correct, another legit guy who's in the UFC right now. And I think the next one from the Daniel Gracie camp up to fight is, let's see. Yes, Jeremiah Wells.
Oh.
Yes, Jeremiah Wells also coming out of that. He's fighting Court McGee, it looks like, on June 18th. So
yeah, that's a fucking loaded camp.
Yeah, that's a stacked camp full of fucking killers, man. Just absolute murderers coming out of that camp. So really excited to have Mike Wilcox on. Little bit of speculation in the UFC world. Did you hear there's a rumor going around? So first of all, let's set the scene. The 10-8 pod got a little message this morning on our Instagram page. We sort through those as best we can. There's a lot of them. Getting through that inbox is a full-time job, and our IT staff is just abysmal. Legal department, PR department, fantastic. Our IT staff, downright abysmal.
Yeah.
Let's call it what it is. Let's call it fair here. We love her. She should have been fired months ago. A little bit of nepotism there. It is what it is. But while combing through our inbox this morning, Mike S. from Philadelphia, probably the first fan that we had of the podcast, asked us to discuss the current season of The Ultimate Fighter, Peña Nunez. And I did not know that there was a current season of The Ultimate Fighter airing right now. Did you?
I would also be in the same boat. Definitely shout out to Mike S. though. I always look forward to Mike S.'s comments every week in and week out. Mike, we love you. Thanks for the support.
That's my guy. The Mike S. is my guy through and through. Yeah, I did not know that tough season had started. I knew it was coming up. I knew it was kind of on the horizon. Yeah, I don't know. The tough was gone for a while. Now it's back again. I'm still on season 1 of Tough, right? I'm still with Chris Lieben screaming, "Let me bang, bro! Just let me bang."
The last Tough that I watched was Petrosky's season.
Yeah, and that was what, either last year or 2 years ago.
Yeah, I want to say it was last year, but
and that tough season gave us a lot of entertainment. It gave us future UFC champion Ricky Tercios.
Oh god.
So I know that we enjoyed that season a lot. Yeah, I have no problem with Tough. I like Tough. I think Tough is an interesting concept. I did not know it was happening, so I'm gonna have to catch up. So to Mike S, maybe what we'll do in the future, maybe we'll do like a special Tough episode, and we'll kind of, maybe we'll do like a special midweek Tough episode or something, kind of break that down. But I say all that to say, The Ultimate Fighter was also in the news on the Twitter sphere this week. There was a little bit of speculation, a little kernel of speculation that maybe El Kukui, Tony Ferguson, could be coaching opposite Khabib Nurmagomedov. You think it's going to happen?
I mean, I just don't know how I feel about it. The only reason I say that is because Tony's coming off of five losses.
Yeah, there's no reason he should be fighting Khabib. And that's the other question, right? So for anybody uninitiated, the concept of Tough, The Ultimate Fighter, this is the UFC's reality TV show. And if you haven't, go back. The UFC has put out some content on how The Ultimate Fighter really is what saved the UFC, because it aired on Spike TV, which existed years ago as the TV platform for dudes, right? It was stuff that dudes liked. It was cars, and it was girls in bikinis, and it was dudes who lived in a house and fought each other, and also had to then exist in the same space together. And the idea was that the winner of The Ultimate Fighter would get a guaranteed 6-figure UFC contract, and that the two people coaching opposite each other on The Ultimate Fighter would fight each other. Makes sense. Juliana Pena is going to fight Amanda Nunes, et cetera, et cetera. Khabib Nurmagomedov has retired from fighting. He is retired currently. Is he going to fight if he coaches? Is he going to coach?
There have been a lot of, rumors. Daniel Cormier has took to Twitter and said that clearly money isn't Khabib's motivation. So possibly in the event that Islam Makhachev doesn't get the job done against Charles Oliveira, which should be the next 155-pound title fight, there are rumors that possibly Khabib would return to avenge the loss of his good friend. This is all hearsay. Nobody really knows. I can't say that I would be interested in a tough between Tony and Khabib. 5 years ago, sign me the fuck up. But right now, that ship has pretty much sailed for me.
Let me ask you this, whether it be against Chucky Olives or Tony Ferguson or whoever, do you think that Khabib ever fights in the UFC again?
That's a tough question, man. I mean, he just started up for those of you who don't know, he actually owns his own organization now. It's called Eagle FC. Habib runs Eagle Fighting Championship. He's putting together fights. He's signing ex UFC guys. He's signing ex Bellator guys. It looks like he's caught up in that venture. It looks like he's become a promoter, and he's not really a fighter. He's got nothing else to prove. And maybe over the course of the next year, that will change. Maybe Charles Oliveira becomes kind of what we all thought the boogeyman was going to be, because he's starting to get that aura. He's starting to, really rack up some wins against some very legitimate guys. But if I had to bet money on it, I don't think we see Habib. Maybe like an exhibition where it's something like a grappling or something. But in terms of a real UFC commissioned bout, I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm in the same camp. I really don't think so. But in news that could be more real, more legit, looks like maybe Poirier and Covington, Dustin the Diamond Poirier and Colby the fuckface Covington have maybe verbally agreed to fight each other at 170 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that honestly a lot of people didn't see Dustin Poirier accepting. I think it was verbally agreed to. Yeah, I didn't either. There's nothing signed. We'll see if that announcement's made, but apparently both have verbally agreed to fight each other. It would be Dustin Poirier's first fight at 170 pounds. And he's hopping right into the fucking, the gauntlet. He's fighting,
Yeah.
I mean, he's fighting the number one contender in the world, as far as I'm concerned, at welterweight.
It'll be Colby's first fight after turning state's evidence.
Yes.
That's exciting.
Yeah, no, it will be. So we will see the return, possibly, of Colby Covington. They do also have a little bit of a dramatic past, nothing like the Masvidal scenario, but some shots were taken at Jolie Poirier and Colby Covington's usual antics, some below the belt activity. So there is some bad blood there. So that always juices up the anticipation for a fight. We'll see if that gets finalized. I think there are better fights for both of those guys, to be honest. But I'm gonna watch it.
Look, I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch. It would be easier for me to put together a list of mixed martial arts bouts that I'm not gonna watch. Yeah. Right. That would be easier for me to put together than ones I will. I'm hard pressed to not watch, even on a night where it's not a good card. If I got nothing else going on, I'm going to watch it. If you're new to the pod, I'd recommend, and I don't know which episode it was, but go back. I did a very long rant one night about how I thought the Colby Dustin fight was fucking stupid. I have not changed my mind about that. I maintain the belief that that's a stupid fucking fight for everybody, but it looks like rankings, skill set, weight class, title opportunities all mean far less to the UFC than Twitter beef. As we have learned in these last few years, Twitter beef is how you get fights. So we may have to just sit through this. And speaking of Twitter beef, Conor McGregor says he's got his next fight, says he knows who it is.
The return of the Mac.
The return of the Mac. Who it right now, don't think about it. Don't ponder on it. Who is it? Who's he fighting?
Tony Ferguson.
I'm going to say Michael Chandler.
Tony Ferguson would make the most sense.
I think it'd make the most sense, but let's not start putting sense into a conversation involving Conor McGregor. Okay,
that's fair.
This is not a man who's always gone by what is the statistically smart decision. I'm going to say it's Iron Michael.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. Pretty much obviously everybody's wants to fight with McGregor. I could see McGregor matched up with Gaethje. I could see McGregor matched up with Chandler, and I could see him matched up with Ferguson. I think those are the three guys that would be in the running. Um, that's interesting. The Michael Chandler fight would be very, very, very interesting.
Now, there's a second question here that has to get answered.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think about it. Don't ponder on it. Does he actually have a fight booked?
No.
Yeah, no, I don't think so
either. No, I mean, it's clear that he cracked open a bottle of Proper 12 one night.
He beat up a senior citizen.
Went on a rant. He had a little bit of beer muscles. We've all been there. He got a little bit lit on the yacht. He was saying his new nickname was like the Bro Shore Yacht or something. So clearly he's relishing in the fact that he is, head and heels above every other fighter in terms of pay. You can't blame the guy for what he's achieved, really. I think the old saying of power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Can you tell me who said that?
Oh God, I forget his name. I did a report on this at Appalachian State, and the name is escaping me right now.
Go App State. Shout out to my cousin Kev.
App State, baby. Lord.
There we go.
Lord. Oh, fuck. You might have to help me out.
Lord Byron.
Lord Byron. I knew it was a Lord. It's one of those quotes that just really withstand withstand time.
Yeah.
It really translates, and it's definitely applicable to McGregor. Somebody who's achieved so much, when all that power and all that stuff gets to your head and the motivation, starts to dwindle a little bit. It's yet to be seen if McGregor's there, but if we had to guess, it looks like all signs are pointing in that direction. But I'm not going to go there yet. I want to see him until September. I'm going to give my guy another opportunity. He's going to jump right into the gauntlet again, and he's going to fight. He's going to fight somebody that's legit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's not going to be like somebody who's going to take kind of a softball fight. I don't think. I mean, the Cerrone one is definitely a little bit of a softball fight, but yeah, man, I'm interested. I'll watch both fights. Chandler wants it. Gaethje would make sense, dude. There's so many things lined up that it's really McGregor's choice of who he gets.
Yeah. I have so many thoughts about that we're going to have to save it for another pod once we have some more clarity on who he's fighting. There's so much to say about Conor McGregor, whether you want to or not. And I certainly don't want to, but you have to. It's smelling shit. You just got to get in there and take a whiff.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of shit that we were forced to whiff this week, before we get out of here, did you hear what Tony Kelly said?
I did hear what Tony Kelly said. If you want to update the fans of the 10-8, be my guest.
So Tony Kelly, current I think active UFC fighter.
Yes.
Most recently famous for driving to UFC fights during the pandemic because he refused to abide by the plane's mask mandate. And you kind of draw your own conclusions out from there. Was cornering a fighter on Saturday night and let that fighter know, come on, you got to get in there. These Brazilians, they fucking fight dirty. I think is the direct quote. If I missed a few articles or prepositions in there, I apologize. The upshot was that it was a borderline derogatory, certainly disparaging comment towards the Brazilian peoples. Tony Kelly doubled down the next day and said, if you think it's racist, I don't give a fuck. I'm not here for your cancel culture. Fuck you. I don't know. Not a great look. Not a great look. I don't think anything's going to come of it. I don't think there's going to be any sort of like negative repercussion to Tony Kelly's career, either as a fighter or a corner man. It'll end up as a soundbite one day when he's fighting a Brazilian guy.
Yeah, no, 100%. The UFC is going to use it in the next promo for when Tony Kelly fights. It's one of those things where it's like, are we really surprised?
No.
You know what I mean? Like, is this a guy who, we expected to lay out, some sort of progressive ideology or something? Tony, it's you got what you thought you'd get with him. Andrea Lee had the boyfriend with the Nazi tattoos as well in her corner at one point in time. So she has been known to stir up a little bit of controversy with that. This isn't the first time. Take that with what you will, but I don't know how much there is to really go into that. You're seeing it for face value. It is what it is.
Yeah, what threw me, I guess, was, it kind of felt, borderline unnecessary. And also kind of surprising given how intertwined the people of Brazil and Brazilian culture is with, with the UFC.
Yeah, but let's be honest. There are some guys that we mentioned in here, Conor McGregor,
Yeah.
Kobe Covington, two guys that we've been talking about a lot, have said couldn't even hold a candlelight to what Tony Kelly said in terms of disgracing in terms of disgracing Brazil and their people.
So I pulled it up. I pulled up the actual quote. Also, and I don't know if you knew this, John Boy, Tony Kelly is the current paramour of Andrea Lay. So somebody tweeted out that's 2 racist boyfriends in a row for Andrea Lay. Tony Kelly's exact quote in the corner was, "That's what they're going to quote. That's what they're going to do. They're dirty fucking Brazilians and they're going to fucking cheat like that." So that's even more pointed than maybe I originally laid it out to be. So yeah,
that's rough. I mean, like I said, I kind of got what I expected from Tony Kelly. I didn't really hold him in too high of regards. It'll be interesting to see who they match him up with next. I kind of want to see him against a Brazilian fighter.
I guess
I do.
Yeah,
I'd watch that.
You're right, I do.
Yeah, I definitely watch that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna watch it. Come on, who are we kidding here? I'm gonna watch it. I was trying to find Andrea Lee's last boyfriend's tattoos because they were fucking bad.
Yeah, I mean, he apparently he was in prison, and it was one of those forced things. I don't know too much about it to even comment on it, but it's not the first time that she's been in the limelight for something like this. So I can't say I'm surprised. In the famous words of Nate Diaz, I'm not surprised.
I ain't surprised, motherfuckers.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, and I think her last boyfriend may have been in jail for assaulting her.
That's always a great look.
Yeah, so listen, this is unfortunately, we have not weeded all of this out in MMA yet. They haven't weeded it out in anything yet, sport or otherwise. Unfortunately, knucklehead's gonna knucklehead. And here we are. And hopefully some Brazilian. Is that Frank? It is not your turn. Hopefully some Brazilian upstart can come in there and just fucking Darce choke him to sleep. Whatever. We'll deal with that when we get to it. John Boy, anything else for the week?
There's really not too much more to comment on. I did see that UFC featherweight Lerone Murphy had a near-death experience. I don't know if you saw that. He was struck by a vehicle in England.
No.
And taken to the hospital today. Lerone Murphy, a pretty promising prospect, pretty resilient as well. I heard he is recovering. That's never great to hear about a guy, but I'm glad he's doing okay. And other than that, I think we pretty much covered it.
Well, then, as always, call your mother, tell you love her. We'll be back next week.
Peace.